You know, I haven't talked to a whole lot of groups, and I said, don't worry, you're in the best company. You're in the very best company you can have. So please welcome Mr. Larry Jones.
Well, after two polished speakers and good talks, you get a southern redneck hay farmer. The National Hay Association was established in 1895. We're the oldest forage organization in the country. Our motto is not for self, but for all. And that's what we're basically work together as an organization. We have about 450 members right now, and we're increasing every year. We consist of producers, consumers, dealers, and exporters. Presently in transition, we're in transition between our executive directors. Many of you probably knew Don Kiefer. He was our executive director for 25 years, and now we have Mr. Paul Duggar, who's out here in the audience with us. And he was experienced in the Cotton Council and the cotton industry, and then he worked for New Holland Hay and Forage as a specialist. NHA is responsible for producing millions of tons of hay. Our exporters this year sold over $2 billion worth of hay to foreign countries, and that is one of the biggest increases is coming in the new years. In the future is the export of hay. Saudi Arabia, UAE, the Middle East has all decided that water is too important to grow hay. It's estimated that Saudi Arabia alone will increase by 3 million tons need for hay. Now, we won't get all of that in the U.S., but we will get a lot of it. The UAE is positioning themselves to own or have control in land on 5 different continents so that they can be able to provide forage and food for their people. And by spreading it out across the world, then they don't have to worry about the drought as near as much as we did here a couple of years ago. So we've got to increase not only our land. Where's all this land coming from? We've lost so many acres of alfalfa and grass to corn and soybeans, because it's a whole lot easier to take a no-till planter out there and then take the combine, the spray rig, and the combine. One man can do on row crops 12 to 1,500 acres by himself. There's no hay producer that can do anywhere near that. And that's going to be our biggest challenge, is how we're going to increase this production. And that's where the Forage Council and the Alfalfa Alliance has got to research. We've got to have research to increase our productivity on this land. Like the gentleman was saying here a minute ago, how do we do that? Well, it's hard to do it when you haven't paid $700 or $800 a ton for fertilizer. We've got some issues with chemicals that won't control certain weeds that we're having problems with. Here in our area is Bermuda grass. We have a lot of trouble with this foxtail, we call it, and there's nothing to control it. And in our area, specifically here in Tennessee, where I'm at, we have no dairy industry anymore. It's all gone, moved out. When everything is either beef cattle or horses, equine industry. Equine industry is big business around here, and is estimated in this area alone there's like 60,000 horses. And due to the economy, that has really decreased We have nowhere near the same potential in that area because so many people have gotten out of the business, and these horses are turned loose. A lot of times they're turned loose, and they've had several horse sales where somebody would take a horse to the sale barn to sell and come back to their trailer and have 2 or 3 in it. Somebody's given them because they can't afford to feed them anymore. So that's an issue. We've got to work together, the 3 organizations. We've tried this several years ago at, I believe it was Columbus, Ohio, a meeting with the 3 organizations, and to discuss issues that we could work together on. And we're not going to agree on everything, it's no doubt, but we need to. Like we say, we're the 3rd biggest ag business in the country, basically, and we need to work together on these issues. We need support from the government, but to stay out of our business too. So, I mean, I don't like to deal with the government, but we do need the government to give us money to our researchers and developers so that we can do a much better job on producing the acres we've got. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but there is a proposed rule from the FDA coming out for food safety. Let me get my Food Safety Modernization Act. Basically, the FDA wants to make animal food under the same requirements as human food. This is going to require a lot of paperwork. If you read all of the proposals, it's 240 pages, and then somebody said that they found a shorter version. There's only 134 pages of rules and regulations that we'll have to adhere to if this act is passed. We'll have to keep a record of every chemical used, every fertilizer used, every farm where the hay or production of even the beef cattle and the dairy cattle come from, and it's going to be a major issue. It's estimated it costs the producers billions of dollars just to implement all of the requirements and do all of the paperwork. Another issue that's coming up is the tax issue. They're working on a deal where, of course it wouldn't bother me, but producers that have $10 million or more in sales will have to go to the accrual system of tax reporting instead of cash basis. And I don't know exactly what that means, but it's supposed to be a big problem. What are other issues that we're facing? In this country too, we're having a lot of issues with water, especially in the western areas, and a lot of hay production and stuff is going to move east because of the fact of water issues, because there's some water districts in California, I understand, that are offering farmers $600 an acre for their water rights for 1 year. Well, that's pretty good profit. I would set my ground out for a $600 profit to do nothing. And that's another issue, is our younger folks. Hay is a crop that requires a lot of time, a lot of effort, and it's not like the row crops where you can do so much easier. And our younger people are going more to row crops because of the labor and hard work that's required in putting up hay and selling it. To shorten it up, this is about all I have. And I'm technologically not sound, so that's why I don't have any presentation here. You know, I showed Jeff my phone, and he laughed. He had said he hadn't seen an antique like that in a long time. If I get a text message on it, I have to get somebody to get it off. So, but if you got any questions, I'll be glad to take them.
Don't leave. Don't leave. Don't have some questions. Any questions out there for Larry about the National Hay Association and what it does?
Nope.
Larry, my question is I did not know a whole lot about the National Hay Association when I contacted you, and one of my thoughts was, where are your producers? Are they across the country, or are they primarily in the western states?
We're scattered across the whole. Nearly every state has at least some producers, and also Canada, Puerto Rico. We have members in Puerto Rico. We have members in a few members in Canada, and we're scattered. Basically, we're pretty much spread across the whole country.
Any other questions for Larry? Mr. Mack?
Larry, I'd like to know how the export sales are coordinated. It sounds like a massive amount of hay to export.
Most of our exports are off of the West Coast. We have a subcommittee that's called the U.S. Forage Export Council. It's 29 members, and they work together to coordinate a lot of those sales. Then we also have some other members that are not members of that subcommittee, but they all pretty much work together on dealing with that. We go through USDA helps us a whole lot on that, and especially the Foreign Agricultural Service, and to promote our hay products across overseas. There's also a lot of straw out of the West Coast, out of the Oregon area, Willamette Valley, that goes to Japan and Korea, South Korea, that they use for animal feed, grind it and mix it up. And the markets are expanding greatly over in that area too. Indonesia is a new market that's fixing to open up. And like last year, China imports was like 400,000 tons of hay, which was mostly alfalfa to increase their dairy production. Yes, sir. There's no telling what the potential is for the export of hay in the next few years. Like I say, the Middle East has decided that water was too big an issue to use on hay production, and they're going to shut down all hay production. And like Saudi Arabia and the UAE and Egypt is starting to take in some hay and stuff. In some of your African countries that are developing and becoming more and more demands for protein, the middle class is growing in those areas, and they're wanting more protein, which requires better forages for their livestock. And we're one of the best producers in the world on it. So. Yes, sir.
Where and when is your National Hay Convention this year?
Well, our convention this year happens to be in Memphis. Since I'm president, I got to choose where we could have it. And it is September the 17th through the 20th, and we're having it at the Peabody in downtown Memphis.
Any other questions? Marvin?
You mentioned that a lot of the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia are looking maybe not just to purchase hay from here, but purchase land and produce their own hay. That sends up flags in my head saying, wait a minute, what's going on here? They seem to have limited amounts of money. How much are they going to buy?
I understand that the UAE has control of like 10,000 acres in the United States today. Now Saudi Arabia, I don't know if they own any land here or not, but UAE owns one of our biggest exporters in this country, ACX, and ACX exported like 850,000 tons last year. ACX just opened up a new facility, processing facility in North Carolina to ship out of the East Coast. And they've got land in Arizona that they've got, I think it was 3,000 acres, the boy told me, that's under subsurface drip irrigation alfalfa, and they're getting 16 tons to the acre off of it. Of course, they get to cut it 9 times a year, so that helps.
Any other questions for Larry? All right, thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
We show a hand of appreciation all.